Attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I'm going to open up the chat window on the side of the screen. And if you're at the webinar setup, that should be on the right side. It's just below polls and questions, and there's even a chat. Okay, let me scroll down. Let's see. Testing. Can anybody hear me? I'm checking my microphone right now. Can anybody hear me? Okay, and perfect. I'm testing the chat function. I'm typing in a message, send to all. Okay, it looks like we're online. Let me switch it over to the PowerPoint. Okay. One of the things I have to make clear is my name's Noah via the lead. It won't be Angel this morning presenting the webinar. I'm one of her educators. And I'm going to give everybody just a few more moments, make sure they have their coffee, they have their notes, and they're ready to attend this webinar. Introducing Fusion, Shortcuts version 8.0. All right. Okay, Dennis and Edward, Denise. Good, we have a good turnout. Let me switch into slideshow mode. And we'll give it just a few more seconds for everybody to get settled. Okay. All right, Ed, you can hear me, but you can't see me. Okay, what about everybody else? Can you see my screen? I should be switching it on. You should see a PowerPoint screen in just a moment. All right, so for Edward, Lorinda, and Denise, let me know if you can see the screen. Okay, you can see me. Very good. Awesome. So let's get started and let's actually take a look at Shortcuts 8.0. What is new in Fusion? So just as an introductory, most of you that have sat in on previous webinars know there are a few things we have to take care of first. And just first off, we're going to be about 30 minutes, and we'll try to give some time for a little Q&A at the end. And we're actually covering a large number of items, so the Q&A may be affected, it may not be. It depends on how fast we can get through this presentation. Your speakers, of course, have to be on. On my side, it's set to mute all. However, I do have access to the question and even the chat window. So if you have any questions, if you have a message, if somehow the audio or the picture is staggering, just let me know, and I can slow down to make sure that everybody sees and hears the same thing. Or if you just want to send me a direct question, you can do that as well. So again, my microphone is on, everybody else is on mute, and we can take questions at the end of the webinar using the chat. So today's overview, we're going to be looking at just a handful of the new features in Fusion, specifically the ones that we think you'll get the most use out of. So the upfront payments, we'll actually be covering that in a future webinar. The big things will be the client dashboard, the arrival screen, and service tracking. So for those of us that are using the appointment book, this will come in handy. How to work with basic promotions, how to apply surcharges, and how to set up surcharges. Anywhere, these would be the features that are available on Shortcuts, the S.M.A.R.T program, your online console. You actually now have the ability to book, change, and even delete appointments on the go. So I'm sure that a number of the stylists are going to be very happy to find out about that. And of course, new themes. So let's start. So the first thing we'll look at is just the front screen of interface, the interface, your appointment book. We have, of course, multiple themes previously, but we're introducing 4 new themes. So these are designed to complement the various salons, the colors, the house colors that you may have. Some are classic looking, some are traditional looking. all are very easy to read, very easy to navigate, very easy to work with. So in Shortcuts, and Fusion specifically, if you decide to change your theme, you actually have that access right on the very front screen. It's on the top right corner. You're going to notice an artist palette. It has the little colors up there. When you select it, you're presented with a drop-down menu, and you can change your theme on the fly. So of course, sometimes you go and you paint your indoors, you change your wallpapers, whatever the case is, and you want to make sure your computer matches everything else. You'll very easily swap between those themes right here. Okay. So the big thing, the changes that we've made to the appointment book. Now we've been getting a lot of feedback from our customers, and probably some of you that are sitting in on this webinar, and we're constantly trying to make the appointment book more powerful, but also easier to work with. Some of the things that we've been asked is we'd like to be able to change services in the appointment book, and not just change services, but change the way they appear on the appointment book. Working with groups. If you have parents that come in with their children, or if you have bridal parties that come in, you want to be able to group them and track those groups. How do we track services? So if you have a customer that has a spa service, a stylist performs a hair service, and then you have a technician perhaps doing a manicure and pedicure, how do Shortcuts now help track where that customer is during their entire service? Of course, simple things like defaulting to what the appointments page are after everybody logs in. If there's a clash on the appointment screen, when are you warned? And when you're doing your setups, you now have the ability to assign a finishing block for each service. So let's go and take a look at this appointment book screen changes. So change the service in the appointment book. When you right-click on a service, you're presenting with a pop-up menu. And from here, you can change the service. So rather than deleting an appointment and then entering a new appointment, you can just right-click and change your service right from the appointment book. And appointment groups. You'll notice there are colored dots on the bottom right corner of the appointments. These colors are designed to help you show from your appointment book screen which customers are grouped together. The bands we'll be talking about in just a moment, but the dots will represent all of our groups. So service tracking. This is where that band comes into play on the appointment book. On the left side, you'll notice that there are colored bands. And then, moreover, for appointments, they appear in unique colors. Previously on your appointment book screen, you would have green to show that you have a customer that is having an appointment. It would change to a lighter blue once they've been confirmed or they've arrived. Now you have these multiple colors that appear on the service. So in the case of the customer on the left side of the screen, you're going to notice it is a sky blue and an orange color. That means that this customer has multiple services, and they are currently in the first stage of this service. Once they move to the next stage, then it will change to a different color. So some other options. If there is a conflict when somebody is making an appointment, Shortcuts will help you try to find another day or another employee that you can book this appointment with. So right away, right as you're making the appointments, Shortcuts has additional resources that your employees can use. And of course, when you're setting up the services, you want to know which is the last step on certain processes. Specifically, if you were doing colors or you were doing a style, a blowout, or even a wash at the end of the service, you can mark which one of those services is your finishing block. Okay? And these are just some of the changes we've made to the appointment book. Let's look at the arrival screen. So this is an entirely new way of working with appointments in Shortcuts. You still have your appointment book screen, but the arrival screen is actually a streamlined view that allows you to track all of your appointments for all of your employees. From that one screen, you can now arrive, check out clients, adjust services, and even contact the customer. So there are color coordinating things that appear on the arrival screen just as they would on the appointment book screen. The colors change depending on the status of whether the customer has arrived, whether they're running late, whether they need to be notified. From the arrival screen, you can also check in groups. So what does it look like? In this case, there's just a couple of people, and from the arrival screen, you actually read it top to bottom. Traditionally in the appointment book screen, you would have columns that have all of your employees and what services they have. But on very busy days, you can imagine that you may have dozens of appointments that are right next to each other, and you're not always sure which is the next customer that's in, who's running behind, who needs to be contacted. From the arrival screen, that's all been streamlined. You just read it top to bottom, who's next for the appointment, with which employee, are they on time, have they been checked in, are they with a group, and you just go down the list. It's the easiest screen to work with now, and that is available to you in addition to the appointment book screen. So we've made some other changes on the back end of Shortcuts, in this case with your employees. Simple things such as being able to search for a specific employee. You now have a search option on the top left corner of the roster screen. So sometimes you may have a dozen or 2 dozen employees and you don't want to scroll left or right looking for a specific one. You just type in their name, and it's an intuitive search. As soon as you start typing in the letters, it narrows down the results. On the right side, on the top right, you now have the ability to select roster dates. So if you have very specific schedules, like an A-B schedule, or a late night schedule, or a weekend schedule, and you want to tag it to certain employees, you now have the option to select it right from the roster screen, the schedule screen, under your employees. Okay, let me scroll down. I'm just double checking to make sure nobody had any questions on that. So this is another feature that is available for your employees and for you when you're setting up Shortcuts. This is a big one. When you go to your clients list now, you are introduced with a column. In the middle of that screen, this column has all of the basic information about your customers. Are they members of a certain club? How many visits have they had? What's their dollar average? Do they have any amount in their account? Do they have any credit for the salon? Do you have certain notes that you want to apply against them? All of that is available from this column in the client screen. So you'd no longer necessarily have to go into the client card to get specific information. If they have a series available to them, future appointments, past appointments, all of that is listed right from this column. And this is called the client dashboard. It's one of the most requested features that we're proud to introduce in Fusion. So again, just a rundown, past and future appointments, anything that they have in a series, so if they purchase a series of haircuts or treatments, and what their averages are. Again, right from the client screen, you no longer have to go into the client card to get this specific information, or you no longer have to run certain reports. You have all of this information available to you right away. Oh, it looks like I have a question. How do you access the client dashboard? This is one of the features in Shortcuts version 8. So if you have Fusion, this would not be available necessarily in Shortcuts version 7 or 4. And this is something that is automatically turned on. Okay. So again, any alerts, number of visits, club points, account balance, and any appointments, any appointment history. So we're really proud of the dashboard, and it has a lot of information that we think is going to help you when you're scheduling with your customers and when your stylist and your employees are working with customers. They'll be able to have a lot of information at their fingertips from one screen. So what are some of the changes that we've made to the point of sale screen in Shortcuts version 8? So on the point of sale screen, if you had a customer that went in for one service but actually changed to another service, you can update that service in the point of sale. And of course, you could always do that in Shortcuts. However, when you update that appointment or when you change that service type, it will actually change what it was in the appointment book. Previously, you would change the service in the point of sale, but on the appointment book screen, the old service would stay there. Now it actually gets updated, and the time even gets adjusted on the appointment book screen. In point of sale, you now have access to surcharges. So if you live in a state or a county or even a province that has surcharges applied to certain credit cards, you now have the ability to set that up. Basic promotions. There are now multiple locations in Shortcuts that will prompt you and help you set up a promotion. And split tips in the point of sale. So if you have a customer that comes in and has multiple services with multiple technicians or stylists, you'll now be able to split the tip evenly between those people in the point of sale. So let's take a look at surcharges. What are surcharges? How do we set these up? In Shortcuts, you can actually attach a payment type to a surcharge. So let's say you live in an area where your Visas or your MasterCards, your American Express, whatever it is, get billed for an additional 1 or 2% whenever you process that transaction. From your payment type screen, there is now a pull-down tab that says Surcharge, and it allows you to create a surcharge whenever a specific payment type is used. This payment type or this surcharge will be applied automatically at the point of sale. Another way surcharges can be used is, let's say there is a holiday, and traditionally your salon is closed for some holidays, but in this case you have a salon that is open on specific holidays, and on those days you pay your employees a little bit more for being there. You can apply a surcharge, and this would be on a roster date that is applied automatically at the point of sale for that amount. So in this case we have a 5% public holiday surcharge that is applied on this fictional holiday that we have. So this is just 2 examples of working with surcharges. And again, a reminder, these surcharges are applied automatically at the point of sale. So you don't, as in the case with a discount, have to select the discount button. It will automatically be applied. Here's an example. A customer came in during one of our holidays, had a service, and you'll notice that 5%, in this case $2.25, was added to their bill. And it will actually show up as a surcharge on their receipt. So there is the other example. If the customer paid with a certain credit card and there was a fee or a surcharge that was supposed to be applied to it, it would show up automatically at the point of sale. So basic promotions. Promotions are something that perhaps you may not be running and you've been interested in, but you don't know how to approach it. In Fusion, there's actually a couple of new locations for promotions to be run from. So this is what we consider a light version of the promotion tool that was introduced in Shortcuts Black, which was Shortcuts 7. So the 2 new screens that you can access promotions from are the service setup screen and your product setup screen. What does that look like? On the bottom center, there is a little tool with a little star behind it that says promotions, whether you're working in services or products. And the reason for that is if you have, let's say, a promotion that you're interested in running, and if a customer purchases a certain type of treatment, you want to give them a conditioner for free. Right as you're setting up your service, you can press that promotion button and Shortcuts will link that particular service with a certain discount or product. And again, this is what the button looks like. It's a little wrench with a star behind it. So promotions, what do they necessarily mean? What do they allow you to do? A promotion can be a percentage reduction or a dollar reduction or even a gross margin percentage reduction. You can restrict it to certain days, to certain times, and even to certain club members in Shortcuts. And these promotions can automatically be applied for the customer at the point of sale screen. Well, Brittany has a question. The screenshots are too small. We can make these screenshots available to you, Brittany, in a larger format. So give me just a moment. I'll write this down. Not a problem. So make sure that you have the full-size screens to work with. But again, with promotions, these can automatically be applied at the point of sale. So in the middle of the week, let's say you wanted a promotion where customers that have a haircut before a certain time get 10% off. You would create a promotion for that so that customers that purchase a specific haircut between the hours of 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. get 10% off. At the point of sale, perhaps your employee doesn't remember that during weekdays this is applied for all of the customers. That's okay because the promotion will automatically apply that discount at the point of sale, and your receptionist, your employee, doesn't have to remember to punch in any sort of code. So this is what the promotion screen looks like. And again, for everybody, we can make this slide, this presentation available so that you can see all of these screenshots in a higher format, higher resolution format. But again, the setup. You can choose specific days, specific times, and even turn on a specific calendar day so that you can set up your promotion ahead of time and not worry about it. Shortcuts will help turn it on or turn it off as needed. So now for our customers that are using walk-in, specifically our barbershop customers and some of our smaller salons that are just using walk-in and not necessarily the appointment book, what changes have we made for you? So this is a feature that was previously only available in the appointment book screen. You now have the ability to tag your clients and create groups. Even check for duplicate clients. So why are these things important? Tags, for example, of course, allow you to find out what your new customers you had, what repeat customers you had, what salon regulars you had, who requested specific employees. At the end of the week, at the end of the month, you can run reports on your tags and get a specific count as to how many of these types of customers you had. And of course, the better you know your customers, the better it is for you to market to them and to appeal to their senses. So appointment, visit, preload time. So you can actually set a buffer if you know that your barbers or your stylist or your technicians need a little bit of time to clean or set up their workspaces. You can actually have a little bit of buffer under the visit preload time. Estimated weight display. These were some of the features that we had on our online synchronization services. So if we used a wall board, which the customers can see where they are in the queue, you now have the ability to have an estimated weight display. Okay, so those were some of the changes that we made for our walk-in manager customers. Okay, so what changes have we made for inventory? Of course, stock control, one of the most powerful features within Shortcuts. We've made a large number of changes to the statistics calculator. Rather than focusing on just a date range and just averaging all of your products, you can be very specific now. Do you want to run a calculation on a company or a particular line or even the usage? You now have the ability to run that for a period of time against those criteria. And you know specifically when it's time to do an uptake on your orders. So company, line, and usage. Especially during the holidays when you traditionally have to order more, you'll now be able to calculate it and of course save the bottom dollar because you're only ordering what you need. So what are some of the other new features in Fusion? Maintenance on exit. This is actually going to help your shortcuts database perform optimally each and every day that you get a chance to run a maintenance. And that is, when you exit shortcuts, you're actually prompted with a new screen. Do you want to run maintenance now, which only takes a few moments, or the next time you exit, or set a specific schedule, tomorrow or next week? And what it does is it just optimizes your shortcuts database so that it runs quickly and efficiently, and your reports even respond faster. So what's the other new feature? And these are just some other new features. Your console login is right on the pin screen. So for those of you that are using the shortcut S.M.A.R.T services, your online console services, rather than having to launch a web page or bookmark a web page for the S.M.A.R.T services, you can just press the console login button right from shortcuts. It will launch your browser and take you right to the console. Online updates. We're constantly finding patches and ways to optimize shortcuts. So that's one of the new features. Similar to Windows, when Windows prompts you that there are updates available to the operating system, Shortcuts will now prompt you that there are updates available to Shortcuts Pause. And of course, once you click on it, it will download and install that update. Now, excuse me for a moment, I have to cough. Sorry about that. Okay, let's go to the next screen, and while we're going to the next screen, I'll take a drink of water. Oh, hold on a moment, I have a question. Vicky wants to know, does maintenance need to be run on the server or any customer service terminal? Preferably, you would want to run this on the server, but it does also work if you run it on the customer terminal. However, those options or those updates or that maintenance that you run is only worked on that one terminal. It will speed up that terminal. It will help the transactions on that terminal. But for all your terminals, you'll want to run it on your server. Okay, let me get another drink of water here. Sorry, I've been talking too long and not drinking enough water. So what are the changes, what are the improvements that we've made for your S.M.A.R.T integration, your online console? Anywhere. This is probably the biggest request that we had, is when a customer or an employee in this case wants to make an appointment, they now have that functionality. More than that, they can cancel and even reschedule appointments while they're on the go with the mobile login for anywhere. All they do is select that appointment, whether they're on a browser or a mobile device, and they have the option to delete it or reschedule it. So in BookMe, now customers have some abilities as well. Hold on, let me pause again. Oh, when it hits me, it hits me. Sorry about this. Okay, but now in BookMe, you can actually give customers the ability to cancel appointments that they make online. They can even reschedule appointments. This is a feature on your BookMe settings that allows you to give permissions to your customers for that. Okay, thanks, Anne. Anne's saying to take my time so that I don't cough up a lung. Thank you for that. Just another drink of water. There, that's better. Now, for your system to take advantage of these S.M.A.R.T improvements, you would have to be on Fusion. Even though these are web-based feature upgrades, they interface with version 8 of Shortcuts, so not necessarily version 7.4. So there's an example of what the screen looks like for the customer if they decide to cancel or reschedule. Now, for locations that have multiple sites, you have the ability to turn on a feature for your customers called Global Clients. So you can actually link your client records between multiple salons. And this includes their history, their notes, information like that. You can track them from any location. And the best thing is, even if the business is not enterprise, which would historically be the only way shortcuts would do this, is if you just happen to have 2 or 3 locations, but you want to be able to have those clients be tracked at any one of those locations, this is a new feature that is supported in Fusion. Yep, and it's their history, their notes are site-specific, but the customer themselves are visible at all sites. So these are the contact details, the confirmation details. You'd still be able to do that from multiple sites. Okay, and that actually takes us to the end of this presentation. Just to let you know, our next webinar is on the 23rd at 10 a.m. and this is Australian time. And they're going to be talking a little more about Fusion, specifics in the appointment book screen. And of course, for that webinar or any other webinar, you can sign up on shortcuts.net/webinars. So now let's have a little Q&A. So on the right side, if you have a question, go ahead and type it in on the question screen. Okay, Brittany wants to know, when can we get Fusion and how much does the update cost? And Fusion is actually available now. As for the cost, I would have to check with business development, but some of you, if you're on a newer version of Shortcuts, I believe you can just request for an upgrade CD. For those that are on a very old version of Shortcuts, I'm not certain what a charge would be for this. Sorry for that, but I can definitely find out. So let me get your names and have BD reach out to you. So Brittany and Anne. And we also have a question. Let's see. Ellen Maroon, she wants to know, she has Salon Solo. Is Fusion available for Solo? And I believe so. When we do a build of Shortcuts, we have it for our Academy customers, which are our schools, for our walk-in customers, which would traditionally be the Solo customers as well. I'll check with BD on that and make sure they reach out to you. So, and that is for... And Ellen, you are on Black, so you're on version 7, so you might be able to get the upgrade disc. Okay, Brittany has a question. The owners are here with me. Okay. And question from Morales. Are these changes all automatic, or is this something we have to upgrade to? If you're on Shortcuts Black, which is version 7.4, you would actually have to upgrade this via a CD. Once you're on version 8, any one of the patches that we have would be sent to you, and that was that little screen that I said where Shortcuts prompts you that it's time for an update, so that rather than having to contact a technician or to call Shortcuts and see if there's an upgrade available, we would actually send you your updates. And this would be all of your updates for version 8. Not necessarily a version update that allows you to jump from version 8 to version 9, which I'm sure is somewhere down the road. So in this case, to answer the question, Morales, this would be something you would have to upgrade to. If you're on version 6 or version 7, and almost everybody here would be on version 7. Okay, and Brittany has a question. We would like to purchase the update. If you have, okay. And Denise. Okay. Okay, Augustine has a question. What version of shortcuts do you need to be on? In order for this upgrade to work, I think if you're on any version of 7, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, you should be able to upgrade to Shortcuts Black. I don't think there have been any requirement changes in terms of the memory that you need for your computer or the CPU speed in order to run Shortcuts version 8. As long as your computer still meets those requirements for Shortcuts version 7.4, you should be able to upgrade to Shortcuts version 8. Of course, with that said, the faster the computer you have, the more memory you have available, the faster Shortcuts will run. And the same goes for any program. Okay. Question for let's see. Question from Denise. We have only been on Shortcuts for 30 days now. What would be on? Denise, if you've been on Shortcuts for 30 days, chances are you have Shortcuts 8. You should have Fusion. If there are some features that are not available on that screen, or if you check Shortcuts and you find out you're on 7.4, let us know and we should be able to upgrade you. Okay, and just to clarify, if you are on version Black, you will need to get an upgrade CD, which will upgrade you to version 8 Fusion. That is correct, Vicki. If you're on 7.4, you would need a CD to upgrade, or if you contact one of our technicians, we can actually send you a link via download. Okay. Okay. Are there any other questions with regards to anything we covered in this webinar, or anything you want to repeat? I'll stand by for just a moment. And really, it's mostly everybody trying to figure out if you have 7 and if you want to get 8 right away. Okay, so no questions from Denise. And for everybody else, I'll make sure that BD reaches out to you and just confirms if you have Shortcuts or if you've purchased Shortcuts recently, that you're on version 8, and if not, to get you an upgrade right away. Oh, okay. And of course, I will see about sending higher resolution screenshots to Brittany. And these are of the specific Fusion updates. And of course, the update as soon as possible. Okay, last call for any questions? Okay. All right, so just our general contact information. You can always find us at shortcuts.net. And of course, we have a Facebook page, so you're welcome to leave some comments or questions there as well. We do check those every day, and I believe it's Maddie that's in charge of that. So she is very much in tune with our social presence. So never fear that this is a Facebook page that we seldomly look at. She's constantly checking it, constantly responding to queries. And of course, we have an 800 number if you think of a follow-up question after. Either myself or business development can reach out and answer that question. Okay. Oh. And thank you to you, Brittany. Thanks for the questions, and thank you, everybody, for the questions. I'll be signing out, and I'll look forward to seeing you again at a future webinar. Have a great day.